Hey guys, Daniel here. I just want to let you know we had a bit of a supersized episode that we recorded, and so we're gonna end up splitting it up between two episodes. So you're gonna get the first part right now, and then you'll get the second part next week. So it'll be like a two-parter. It was just super long, and you guys don't really like the super long episodes, so we're just gonna split it up and make it two different episodes because we kind of talked about two different major things. So you'll get it then. So yeah, here's the episode.
If you can make Daniel's work, Jaden Daniels thing. Is it Jaden Williams or Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels. The
Daniels.
LP guy, right?
Yeah, Christ, I keep getting his name fucking confused. But I was gonna say, like, it's either him. Like, if you can make something out of him and turn him into like a Lamar Jackson, obviously Lamar is kind of 1-1. I like all the other quarterbacks kind of suck to me. They're like maybe system backup guys that are not going to go anywhere.
This is the Experience Podcast with me and someone else.
Wonderful. The someone else here. There's another someone else up there cackling. Fantastic.
That was the coldest open.
That was
I
an
keep
intro.
saying that's the coldest opening I've done, but every time I feel like we always top it. Every time.
Of course. Well, we can only go up from
perhaps.
You mean down in terms of temperature, right?
Here. Yes, of course.
I wonder what the absolute zero opening is. Is it just we drop right in and say this is the Experience Podcast with me and someone else?
Roll credits. Something like that.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. All of Cinema Sins where you just say the title of the movie and then it's like roll credits. Ongoing joke.
Yes. Well,
But
anyway.
yeah.
So nice to have this group back together. We have.
Oh yeah.
How long has it been since we graduated? Is it 6 years yet? It's 5.5 fucking years to some people.
Chase, you graduated in the fall, right?
Yeah, 2019.
I graduated in. Wait, no, you graduated in the spring, right?
Yeah, it's spring 2019.
You graduated in spring. I graduated in the fall.
Oh, okay.
And when did you graduate, Felix?
Yeah, don't worry about that.
He made it out. He got out eventually. That's the thing.
Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm still there.
God
What
help
are you,
you.
Derek Hamrick?
Who knows?
God no.
I graduated this spring.
The professional student, Derek. Always.
This does school for a living.
Ugh. Anyway.
I was like, depending on your scholarship, though, you could theoretically do that. You just
could,
have to go.
but...
You just have to go to work like every other semester. If you ever heard of SFS.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. You have to actually enjoy school, and I despise school, so the sooner you're out, the better.
I didn't mind it. I appreciated it, but I think that's more of just like a reflection of being in band than it is of being at school.
Yeah, band was great. School sucked.
Yeah.
And the more I look back on my experience, it's like, yeah, the actual thing you go for is class and education, and let's be real, 80% of it is useless, depending on your major. And the shit you're going to be doing on your own, you learn on your own, and I don't know. I have problems with academia that are very deep. But I'm pretty sure I've ranted about those on the podcast before, so let's keep the I'm gonna not steer into cringe. Maybe.
It's the experience. We never cringe. It's always flow. You know what it is. It's a good time. I wouldn't call it cringe. But no, I get it. I get it. Like you can make a joke that like with CS, like half of it is let me just look up on Stack Overflow. Although I guess to a point, it's like if you don't understand the concept of what you're trying to do or the algorithm you're trying to implement, or just like the way you want to solve the problem, then how are you going to know what to look for in Stack Overflow?
Okay, but like, isn't that actually what you do?
You just Google
Yes.
shit until you iteratively Google shit like what is a word, how to English, and then you go from there.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, for some of the shit I do at work, it's like, I need to, like, learn about the cloud and, like, learn about the service I'm trying to do, and then it's like, okay, now what's the cost? And then you can extrapolate some things about how do I use this efficiently, and then it's like, okay, so now how do I do return on investment analysis, stuff like that. It's like, it's very interesting. I mean, it's, you care about the money, but at the same time, you also care about the performance, and then you're just there to, like, also try to balance the two and give some direction to an enterprise that's either too tightly coupled or just doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
I was about to say, at a certain point, I'm sure you've heard of the Peter principle, which is like you get promoted to your exact level of incompetence. There's a corollary to that. It's like, or maybe, no, I'm sorry, the inverse of that, or...
Are you talking about the Dilbert principle?
I don't know what that is, but it's like when I don't know, I don't remember the math concept. I think it's the converse or something. Logically, it's when you are competent and have something to offer and like you actually could be that cringe shit that you have to put on a resume that everyone does, like my leadership skills, my experience, whatever. But you get to a corporation or a company and it's like you get promoted to your exact level of relevance and then you can do nothing from there. Right, like your impact ceases. It really does, especially at a larger place. And the point is, no, I don't have a name for it. I'm just like, it's an observation I've had. Like, I've had family who are eminently qualified and competent in many fields, and their chosen one is they're stuck in a role doing the best job on that they can, and like they're better than everybody else at it, but they can't influence, like they can't change the company, they can't do whatever, they're just stuck, right? And the company eventually wants to churn them, right? Like, I'm sure if you looked at churn rate for employees nowadays, it's abysmal. Because everyone wants to, like, it's like, okay, you job hop every 9 months for salary until you find the one, and then you get churned anyway by the company, and you eventually, like, retire. The economy, I don't know, I've done analysis on the economy, it's a disaster.
Oh man. I'll tell you one thing. It's like, it's weird, but like, so the field I'm in, it's like, I mentioned I was doing a career pivot from more of like a technical role of like actually like hands writing code to more of a primarily like strategic role, but like, in doing so, like I've gotten an exposure to it the last couple of years where I still do some technical work, but I do it in a different way. And again, it's more strategic than it is like low level technical. But one of the things like I'm noticing is like with this particular like program that I'm supporting, it's like there's some, you can call it churn, but like some of it is churn, but like some of it's straight up attrition. It's like
right,
people just like come and go. Some people just go, and then
that's the other thing. Like you can group, like I call, because churn is like a product term. I don't want to be like too precise with that term. I'm just like, as a concept, like the team that you start with 1 year is like liable to be 60% different in 2 years, at least, if not 75% or more. And like I guess that old like union boomer kind of shit where it's like, well, I have one job for like, my aunt has had the same job for like 40 fucking years at the same company. And at some point it's like, Jesus Christ. But you know, it's just the modern economy, especially the tech sector. Like, there's no permanency, zero. Hey, I was like, is my mic too fucking loud?
No, you're good.
Okay. I was doing some shit. But yeah, so that's what I meant by like the churn shit is things just go. There's no permanency. There's no stability and that's like startups, that's employment in large companies in particular. There's a lot of people who are like, I want to get that Fortune 500 job, or I want to get the FANG job, right? Shit like that. And then it's like, you get there and like, fuck this is garbage. You're doing it for money and cred so you can go somebody else. And it's like, well, then what's the fucking point? Why don't we just like skip the middleman? But the economy's like, oh my god, you worked at FANG, you have a degree.
Wait,
shit like
so
that.
what is the A in FANG for you? Is it Apple or is it Amazon?
Oh, it's gotta be Amazon. Like Apple is, I don't know.
Dying?
Apple is innovating themselves out of the market, I'll put it that way.
Really?
Give them a few years. Like, people said, like, this is like the dot-com bubble, right? It's like these things, the phrase too big to fail, right? Unless daddy government is giving you a nice cash infusion in the asshole, you're not going to get, you're not too big to fail. You're only one couple of missteps in an economic recession away from collapsing. Now, for the tech, the problem with tech is that there's so many government contracts and so very, and I'm preaching.
Oh my god.
I don't have to tell you that. You do cybersecurity. Let me stop.
It's like, I do cybersecurity, but right now I'm doing, ironically, I'm focusing on like acquisitions and systems engineering. So trust me, whatever you're gonna say, I probably know it, and what you're about to say, there's probably more that I can't tell you.
My clearance.
I was gonna say my acquisition sensitive.
I was gonna say it boils down to clearance, is what it does. It's the same concept, just in a company.
Sure.
Because I don't know, I have again other friends who worked with like military contractors and shit, and it's like, yeah, it's the same thing.
Actually, I don't think it's acquisition sensitive. I think it's procurement sensitive is the word.
Oh, some technical bullshit. Great.
Yeah. You get the point. But yeah, like, I mean, you see some shit. It's like you got the big boys, and then it's like things happen, and then there's some bullshit afoot. It is what it is, and
oh yes,
we just do our best to squeeze as much value out of whatever contract we're doing, one day at a time, or we try to set the stage for something completely new. It's a little bit of both.
Excellent. Well, if you excluded Daniel out of his own podcast for 15 minutes, I'm sure he's eager to talk.
Yeah, I don't know, Daniel. What do you got to say? You got any thoughts on the topic?
When have I ever been eager to talk?
This is your podcast.
Sure. I facilitate.
So what are you? The Molly Querim to the Stephen A. Smith and Skip?
Of
Who's
course.
The other guy who's the other guy?
Am I Skip? Am I being?
Do you want to be Skip?
No, it's Steve. Who's the guy that comes on with Stephen A. on? Is it Skip?
It's Shannon. Isn't it Shannon Skip? I don't remember.
That's what I thought. It's Shannon and Skip. Stephen A. has a thing he does with another guy, somebody, and then you got like Molly Querim in the middle. It's like just basically like sets the agenda and then just lets them ramble.
Yeah, so go ahead, guys, ramble.
Okay. Well, the football conversation is coming, so.
Oh
Any last words on the tech sector other than? Actually, I don't know. As you're transitioning into like a social role, which I think you'll do very well at. Actually, I think you have the personality for it, and like you have the desire to do it. So.
Thanks. Thanks for the vote of confidence, my dude.
I was gonna say, yeah, you gotta want it. Like actually want to do that shit, because otherwise you burn out immediately from interacting with so many people. I don't know, I guess I've become very jaded and cynical on, STEM in general. Physics, I won't go into detail, but most of it is just straight up fake. There's so many fake papers in academia that I did deep dives into for a long time now, and it's a disaster for many reasons. So physics is stuck in, I call it the electron box. It's the reason we don't have spaceships that are worth a fuck, is we're stuck in the electron box. But, I don't know, maybe we can ask the aliens eventually. But,
no, Starship might be promising.
Elon Musk's pet project again, one of his many?
Yeah.
No. For example, Daniel, am I permitted to rant on a little bit of physics here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of
As long as
course,
you
since I haven't
don't
done this with
lose your
Anuj.
soul. As long as you
Oh,
don't lose your
I
soul.
lost that. I lost that the moment I came to Earth. But anyway, but what I was saying is, we still think on Earth that the speed of light is the fundamental speed limit of matter in the universe. That's basic shit in physics. It is completely and totally wrong. We have observed, for example, velocities of particles in CERN, in the Large Hadron Collider, that exceed the speed of light, that are statistically written off as insignificant by physicists who are coping, right? And that's at the subatomic level. Because the other thing is, like, if you're going to have a spaceship, right, you need to travel the galaxy, right? You need to go planet to planet. How the fuck are you going to get there with a conventional spaceship? You're not, unless you go faster than light, which, of course, is possible. You know what I mean? Like, it's when you get out of the academic bullshit and out of the textbooks and see shit, it's like, well, we haven't engineered this. We have, literally, and it was suppressed. And if it's not suppressed, it's written off as statistically insignificant, which, if you read the papers like I do, dipshit physicists who don't know what they're talking about, like, well, the phase velocity of this fucking plasma does this or that. I'm like, give me a fucking break. And don't get me started on nuclear. Actually, don't get Daniel started on nuclear. We can both grumble like boomers about nuclear. But anyway, that's just one of the rants. And like the speed of light thing has been a thing for 120 years on Earth, right? 120 fucking years of that garbage since special relativity. So, we are stuck with glorified like toys for spaceships that can't even traverse. Like they half the time. Okay, not half the time. They struggle to make it into orbit sometimes. I'll put it nicely. And it's like, or what are we doing? Where's our so-called anti-gravity, right? Which doesn't exist. It's just another, field, right? It's energy in fields, right? That's what physics is. And, we are ignorant, terribly ignorant to, like, a good chunk of it that we've just been stuck in the electron box for. So that's a rant I have for physics and why I never go back into it.
So, to your point about, do you think STEM is having a STEM degree is overrated?
Not only do I think it's overrated, I think people are absurdly arrogant about a STEM degree. I think it has just about as much value in real world application as, your arts degree does, in the sense that you were babysat at college for 4 years and you had to scrape your way and do your own projects to demonstrate your worth. Because I'll tell you, when the couple jobs I've worked at so far, you have to really fucking grind at what you're good at to, get shit done. So it's not easy, and you're never going to be coached to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to do this degree, be babysat for 3 to 4 years, do these internships, do this whatever. That's cute, right? Then you get in the job and you have to do your job, right? And it's going to fuck you up. It's going to fuck you up really good. So I don't know. Beats the fuck out of me.
I'd like to think Georgia Tech actually gives us a leg up by encouraging and actively encouraging experiential learning with like all the career fair and career services and stuff like that. But let me tell you a story. So,
please do.
This February, I went to career fair, recruiting for my company, recruiting for aerospace, with some friends. And I had four people I interviewed. And I chose them I asked them to book interview slots because I liked some of the stuff that was on their resume. As far as their technical experience and some of the shit they worked on. So like if you ever think that like resumes are buzzword soup and you can basically pick like buzzwords that are essentially bait for, recruiters, I will admit that I will sometimes fall for that. So like one resume, I was like, oh, I found this guy that was like, oh, he worked on a thing on OAuth. Okay, so he probably knows a thing or two about cybersecurity. I found this one girl that was like, did a lot of data viz and like work with graph databases, and I was like, oh, this seems relevant to a capability that we're working on internally. So I was like, okay, let me set you up for an interview. And then I had another girl who had a bunch of AWS certs, and one of them happened to be a cybersecurity cert. I scheduled her for an interview, and then I had this one girl's resume given to me by a coworker who actually had a chance to depose her. I looked at her resume and I saw a lot of interesting stuff, especially in relation to cybersecurity. And I was like, you know what? I'm sold. I want to interview her. So the day comes. The next day we have interviews. The first guy that I had scheduled for an interview, fell sick. The third person I scheduled for an interview was actually the first interview I had that day. Now here's where things get interesting. I did not come into that interview with a prepared set of technical questions that I wanted to ask. Things like, let me ask a question about like algorithms, or let me ask if you know the big O of n of a certain algorithm, or like programming concepts. What I tried to do was try to probe deeper into some of the work experience that she had and some of the things that she learned from it, which was the stuff she did at AWS, studying for getting her certifications and stuff. And then also like probing into some of the group projects that she did. And like, while her technical base was sound, like that interview revealed something about like the way she communicated and the way she like presented and the way she worked with people and worked with stakeholders. That was the presence I wanted in the intern room. So after I was done with all my interviews and I came back to Virginia, like I told my manager, like, hey, it's between, like, there's two interviews I really liked. Is this girl who I interviewed first? And then it was the last person I interviewed. She was had more of a cybersecurity focus. Most of her independent project experience was through high school, and then she had some cyber patriot stuff, and I was able to probe into that, and she demonstrated passion for the field and also like an ability to collaborate with folks. So that was what sold it. So that really sold it for me. And I told him, like, so the last person I interviewed, she's the easy sell. Like, she's got the technical knowledge in our domain, and she interviewed real well. I wanna offer her. And then the first person I interviewed, I was like, she's got more of a broader technical base. She's probably not more a fit for us, but I want her in the intern room. And we were able to convince another manager to offer her. Unfortunately, she said no. We're trying to offer the current person that we have, and she's looking forward to working for us. And we just need to clear the bureaucratic hurdles to like reopen the rec, have her apply, then send out the offer documents. But the second person I interviewed that day, she like presented with a lot of energy. It was kind of like my energy, but like amped up to 11. And I literally wrote in my interview feedback, like, needs to learn how to control and harness her energy like I've been forced to do during my time in aerospace. And then the last person I interviewed, wasn't exactly, which was virtual, wasn't great because I wanted to probe deeper into some of his technical experience, and I wasn't able to. So while having the technical base is sound, I really was trying to probe into some of the other stuff to find those like other like non-technical, intangible, like problem solving, communicating skills. And yeah, that's how that went.
Yeah, it's I don't know, I've never had to hire anybody, but what I would look for is, are you smart? Do you know what you're doing? Like, that's like a little bit of it. Like, here, show me some basic shit. Can you learn? Like, can you learn and do shit on the job, basically? Because I'll be honest with people, like, most jobs are a cross-section of skills, right? And you need to not be, like, socially retarded. That's about it. Like, be competent socially, and then can you learn and apply some shit? And most jobs are not hard, really. Like, any class you take in academia is harder than any job ever, period. In terms of, like, the technical know-how, I should say. Unless you progress to a particular location or job where you have serious subject matter expertise or some shit, like you're working, like you're an engineer on a nuclear sub or some shit. Like, that's serious hard. But then again, like, then you don't have to have the social, you know what I mean? So the majority of desk jobs is what I'm talking about here. Yeah. And I don't know, I don't like the resume process, the applicant tracking software bullshit. I think it screens out people who are actually good. There's also the kiss ass component of it, right? It's like corporate culture is disgusting. It really is. It's like
bait, doesn't it?
Oh, it is. But it's like, okay, now we're having these meetings about stupid shit like DEI that doesn't matter.
Oh my god.
You know, how are we conforming to some Chi-Com bullshit, right? Like, how are we talking about, here's our, here's our company metric, here's your personal metrics. I have someone who works in healthcare, and it's like, or know someone who works in healthcare, and it's like, okay, here's your personal metrics for your employee evaluation. This is part of ESG shit, or if it's not ESG, this is internal HR bullshit, because we have like this compliance law from the Fed, or from the feds rather. And it's like all of this stupid shit just to go in and do like half a day's of work on a fucking computer that you can automate away. I mean, it's a joke, right? It's a waste of people's fucking time. But the problem is you need money to eat, so like, I'm not going to sit here and bash the shit, you know what I mean? Like, too hard. Other than, criticize the fuck out of it because it sucks.
Listen, the way I see it, like, I'll look for the technical competence first, and then through the interview, I want to suss out like the communication skills. Like, are you able to communicate? Are you able to communicate your ideas? And then, like, in the case of some interviewers, like, their ability to communicate also then reveals something about them. Like, oh, this person's able to manage stakeholders well. This person's able to manage, like, build relationships and keep that, and do that well. So stuff like that. And then just the diversity side of it is a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, you
that
do
I
want
do call for buzzword bait.
Right, but it's just the culture, and we end up on this podcast just talking about our fucking boring ass day jobs and shit or whatever. I don't know, man. The whole corporate culture is inevitable. But my God, is it just insufferable to me, right? Like, I'm somebody who's like, I got to the corporate culture and I'm like, I realized immediately I can't stay here forever, right? Like, I have to move on to something, but I need money, you know what I mean? So that's.
You
that's
mean
like,
to say that the culture is actually not damn good?
No, it's not. It's terrible. But most people will have to plug into some kind of culture like that, unless you work blue collar, in which case, automation, which is another fallacy, by the way, but I'm sure you people are familiar with that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, the automation is great until it takes away the human instinct of like, and I guess also like the subject matter expertise and user training.
Do you think AI here will ever do that?
With time?
Given time.
But will it be allowed? But will it be able to problem solve at the same rate that humans are? I don't know.
No. I'll give you an argument here. Let's say that there's an advanced extraterrestrial an advanced extraterrestrial. We'll call them like a species or something that are literally parked outside of Earth orbit right now, with robots and shit. Do you think that their robots are smarter than them? Maybe. Right, like imagine like iRobot on steroids, right? Like sex bots and shit, maybe. Do you think that they even come close to the power of a human intellect?
I mean, bits and pieces of it, like, sure. In terms of like rote recall, yeah, I mean, sure. If there's one thing that AI has over humans, it's probably recall.
Right.
But improvisational problem solving, I don't know. I mean, sure, right. Like, recall and also probably pattern recognition.
Of course. Right, but like, that's one, like, the human intellect, right, is multifaceted. We are good at a lot of things. We're not elite at one particular thing. Even people who study years and years, like, the best mental mathematician will be dominated by a good enough computer. The best chess player will lose to Stockfish 14 or whatever.
Probably already.
Right. But Stockfish cannot define what love is, for instance, right? Stockfish cannot get in a relationship. Sure. Right. So my point is, like, I don't think that AI is capable of reaching human intellect in terms of its versatility, right? The human soul is just simply too versatile, right? So that's my point. I think the hype over, and listen, I'm like pro automate everything as much as possible. Get the robots to, land the robots to fix shit, right? Build build fucking civilizations with robots and shit. You know what I mean? But like, the people, and it's really older people who are ignorant, and I'm sorry to say that they are. I don't know if they've forgotten some shit over time for various reasons, or maybe they've just been propagandized by movies for so long, but you talk to people who barely know how to use a fucking smartphone, they're like, oh my God, the robots are here and are going to kill you and are taking your jobs and are going to fuck you up. And it's like, you do realize we have ChatGPT 5.0 that can barely solve certain problems without completely melting the fuck down. That's our robots right now. You know what I mean? But no,
it's interesting you mentioned that because generative AI is kind of a big deal, and like if you've seen like Microsoft Copilot, I mean, yeah, like again, it goes back to that point of like AI has its beat on recall and pattern recognition, but past that, like if you can't even like if you can't even generate a way to solve the problem, then how are you going to get an AI to write code for you if you don't even know what you're trying to do? It's like, it's that improvisational piece. I mean, say what you will about, again, like a robot improvising music, but some of that is just pattern recognition, but the rest of it is also like truly like improvisational, like spur of the moment.
Robots suck at creativity because they're programmed.
Yeah,
and even the most advanced robot that can approximate a soul is still, it pales in comparison. It does. Like, I don't think, my argument is if you ask me the same question, advanced extraterrestrials, I'm going to tell you that their robots don't compare to them. Their robots would kick their ass at certain subroutines, and then they would, fail many tests. They would fail compared to the intellect. That would be my argument. So, whatever. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on like AI writing movie scripts? It's like
garbage.
I mean, your AI is gonna watch movies, it's gonna recognize patterns and be like, oh, this seems to be something that audiences like. Things with like a lot of fighting or whatever, insert social theme here. But is it a good story?
No, and that would be my argument is that with AGI, right, true AGI, which we are years away from, at least, or God, maybe knows with some miracle in a couple months, what I would make the argument is they are not going to be able to replicate creativity and ingenuity. Like, you can use, and I'm sure you could use the AI to start your script, and frankly, using AI to start your script would be better than most Hollywood movies now. But what I would say is you need a human being to direct that ship. You need a sentient organism that can think and be creative and truly spontaneous. And that is not captured with AGI. It just simply is not. I don't think it can be. I think we might discover something like a Gödel. You're familiar with the incompleteness theorems, right? From comp sci shit.
The what?
What is what is Gödel's incompleteness theorems? It's like a math comp sci concept.
My threats were info and intelligence, not theory.
Okay, never mind. Fuck it. The point is, like, there's a fundamental limit to computation, right? It's good to explore computation. It's good to utilize that, but it's limited fundamentally by its nature. That's the quintessence of, like, the incompleteness theorems. And that's what, like, Wolfram and,
we're talking deterministic computing, right?
Right, and by definition, like, by necessity, computation is deterministic, right? Like, there is no random element to computation. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me started on P equals NP, which is a whole other rabbit hole.
Garbage.
Like, when am I ever going to use that? Like,
you will not. So the point is, like, when you're looking for spontaneity and like, physicists and quantum, all the stupid fucking philosophers and shit talk about, like, randomness, right? And that generates spontaneity because they're lost in the materialist delusion. They don't worry, philosophical bullshit. The point is, like, when it comes down to it, when you have a deterministic process, a completely deterministic process with no, like, an approximation to free will, which is the nature of AGI, even in its most, like, possibly advanced form, you will not have the same flexibility, creativity, ingenuity, etc., as something that has free will, for instance.
I mean, isn't any AI agent like first and foremost programmed, and then it's just let loose with a certain set of like base methodologies, and then let loose on a data set?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that all it is? At the end of the day, you're still constrained by the limits of your programming. Whereas, like, a human brain is going to create its own pathways in various ways.
Oh, you can get me started. Please get me started on Neuro. We'd be here all day. Actually, oh my god, we're so far in. Never mind. Don't get me started on Neuro.
Maybe not on a podcast, but
yeah.
If we ever got to meet again and we were like,
I think we will
over
soon.
dinner or something. Like just hang out, play video games or something, or like post about the draft again.
Oh Lord. Anyway, it's 36 and a half minutes in, and Daniel Silverstein of the fucking Experience podcast, right, has not said a goddamn thing because we've just monopolized his podcast again because we can't shut the fuck up. How are you doing? What's your opinion on AGI, Daniel?
No, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, God.
I don't have.
We gotta let the host get his thoughts. That's the point of being the host. You actually have responsibilities. You have thoughts to provide.
No, I don't have responsibilities. I make the responsibilities. Let's see. We could wrap up soon. Are you guys worn out? Is that the problem?
No.
No, I'm just
it doesn't
trying to include you.
Yeah, okay, all right. No, I'm good. Yeah, keep going. No, keep going. You're in a rhythm. I don't want to break anything up.
Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, we just went from like corporatism to AI.
We're touching on football and neuroscience. Which one are we going to next?